Hello. Oh boy. I'm going to talk about interesting language that says basically nothing. That there's language they use today with the whole climate issue that are words that, the people who are vehement about this, that are impassioned, and the climate is far more serious than the suicides and the people losing their homes and their jobs and everything over this COVID thing, and which they're telling us to use more than one mask. I found that cloth masks I stopped using because they were too thick. I couldn't breathe through them. And then you're wearing them outside and your breathing causes it to become wet, especially in heat. But even in the winter when there isn't much oxygen because there isn't much plants, you need plants to absorb the carbon dioxide. But that's why we need the rainforest. That's why we need to replant the deserts, which we can do, and we can do very easily. They've been doing it since the dawn of time. Okay. You're breathing very heavy, and you're very good because you're not using a car or any kind of fossil fueled anything. You're pulling a wagon because you're poor. And it causes you to huff and puff and breathe very heavy. And the fact that you have asthma doesn't help. So even a thin mask gets wet, and then you're trying to breathe through that thin mask, and you can't breathe because when it gets wet, it shuts off your ability to draw air in. And then when you finally get to your destination, because you have to wear this outside instead of let's not have to wear it outside because it's kind of virtually, I don't want to say anymore. As you know, this channel is the shadow ban channel. I should just call it shadow ban channel. I'm more shadow banned than any other channel. Say, oh, it's because her videos are really bad. No, guess what? It's not. It's because I say things and know things that I just say it. And channels that claim they're shadow banned, you've got 4 million subs and 4 channels, and you say you talk to Google all the time. How shadow banned are you? Oh, you have to promote the channel, and the only way to promote it, because the algorithms won't. And you've got thousands of comments and likes, which actually make the algorithms guerrilla-isms promote the channel. I don't understand this at all whatsoever. I am really shadow banned, honestly, because I just say the truth. And even though I look like Twinkly here, I look like Tinkerbell, the Violet Tinkerbell here, and I seem to know nothing. I slip things. I tell you the truth. I tell you the truth. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised that they don't know what my work history is. Why I know certain things. Okay. But then again, a lot of things I say are just putting 2 and 2 together. It's just common sense. It's just working in the field. If you work in the field, or you're just life, and then you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. We have to wear several masks now. I can barely use one. I can barely breathe. Several masks. You might as well say, what about plastic? What about a sheet of, oh no, that's not thick enough. Sheet of plastic and duct tape. No, that wouldn't be enough. What if you started to sweat and the duct tape started to come off? You have to have layers, several layers. In fact, maybe you should just melt a piece of plastic over our nose and our mouth, or across our whole face, because they say that the eyes can catch it too. So, what about farting? farting? After you've sealed this off, what about farting? That is, oh my God, that's the next thing they're going to have to plug up. They're going to have to seal that up. And you're just going to have to explode. But if you explode, then gases are emitted. And then if people breathe that in, they don't care if you die. It's the whole thing climate. You want less people on the planet. That's what you want. Less carbon emissions, less production of everything. Then why is China buying up all the land of the world and producing one coal-fired power plant every 5 to 6 days all over the world? Once I heard that in 2014, that Obama and the Paris Accord allowed that, I said, okay, this is BS. If it's real, then you people don't care. If it's actually real. If it's actually really hurting things, you people don't care. But you do know that every 100,000 years, the planet, there's a polar shift which changes the climate. This happens all the time. And unless you can, build some huge machine that's not going to smash into the earth, I don't know how you're going to do it. That just realigns the planet, would attach it to the moon, and then the thing comes out and grabs the hands and grabs Earth and puts it back in line. Or when the dinosaurs lived for over 250 million years, by the way, with 5.5 times more carbon emissions than this planet has. Because what happened? There were the more carbon dioxide, carbon emissions, and volcanoes, the more plants grew. The more plants grew, the more there was to eat by the herbivores. The more herbivores ate, everything got bigger. And the more herbivores there were, the more there was to eat for the carnivores. And so everything got big, but it was the asteroid that stopped it, not carbon emissions. And there was no ice on the polar ice caps because we have fossilized tropical vegetation and crocodiles. Okay, let's get into what President Joe Biden did. You see, Joe Biden will sign anything you put in front of him. That's the idea of the perfect president that will just sign anything and not know what he's doing. Now, why of all, of course, the candidates that they had that were running was like a freak show. It was a circus freak show. It was at the sideshow that you have to pay quarters to go see the freaks. Who there was good? I mean, Tulsi was good, but she kept blaming Trump for being a warmonger, and he's the one who wanted to stop and end wars. Why are you saying not the truth? That's what got me about Tulsi. And I'm wondering, why the heck did he hire these people that were Wall Street or warmongers, and then finally he got rid of them? In a sense, I think he was relying on other politicians, or he thought he could smooth his way in by starting with these people. So the politicians said, okay, he's on our side, because he knew that all these people were warmongers, and then he would eventually get rid of them and then just replace them, basically. Just replace them and then bring the people home, because an abrupt change like that is people will fight against. That could be one of the reasons why, not that he really didn't know what he was doing. But she is, and now she's saying, hey, has she been listening to me? She's saying a lot of good things, and so is Rand Paul, saying a lot of things I've said over the years. But then again, a lot of things you've been saying, I bet. He's saying, and it's good that he's saying it. I wished he had voted for the 10-day trial. The 10-day trial. Instead of just voting for the electors for Biden. A 10-day trial, which no judge took. And here's the problem with that. Okay, this whole problem with that made a much worse problem that could have been. But they didn't want what they didn't want. If you have the trial and it's an honest trial, and you present the facts of the case that Trump was claiming, you don't want anybody to hear those. You want all judges to just dismiss it out of hand. You don't want to present the facts of the case. What does that say to you? If you don't want to present the honest facts of the case laid out, nothing held back, nothing dismissed, all the facts, what happens? And you have that on television and nothing is censored. Everybody sees the facts. Now, if the facts are baloney and they have no merit, everybody sees it. If it's censored, then people will say, why did you censor it? They didn't want it to be heard by anybody. They didn't want us to know. They want us all to say it had no merit, it was a bunch of baloney, and that's the reason why the judges didn't hear it. No, they just dismissed it. Any judge can dismiss anything. Oh, it has no standing. Any judge can dismiss anything. You see, I used to work for attorneys. One of the attorneys was a general in the U.S. Army. And I didn't realize I was being hired by military intelligence. I know a lot about this stuff. And he also tried cases in front of the Supreme Court, and I prepared all these documents. You dismiss it, you do not hear the merits. And there are people out there who know this. But the other side will say it had no merit. He was just lying. It was just lying. He was just lying. And you censor everything. You can't even present the truth. I know Charlie Kirk had a video that he got copies of video that were censored, taken off. And then his video was taken off. It was about a guy named John Sullivan that was arrested in the DC riots, which a lot of people were let in to those riots. I know I should do this thing about Joe Biden, should be the next one after this. Some people had no idea. The line of cops were standing back and just let them in, and they had flags and they were wandering around. They were just saying, hey, we're in here. And I think some people wanted to just walk in and say, we want to say our piece. You're not listening to us. Why are you doing this? We know what's going on. We are the American people. We employ you. Can you at least hear us? There's people that just wanted to be heard, and there were agitators. There was one man, John Sullivan, that was interviewed by CNN, Anderson Cooper. This guy, John Sullivan, claimed to be a journalist, and he wore a MAGA hat. And then Charlie Kirk had a clip of him in the riots, the riots that went on all summer, started with George Floyd. And he was saying, we need to go to the Capitol and we need to take this country down. He was encouraging people to get rid of the whole system. And that particular clip was removed. If Charlie Kirk has that up again, a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that is a video to watch. He might have it somewhere on the web. But that's your proof. That's your proof. You know what? Next video, I'm going to talk about Joe Biden and the words, the lingo of the climate crisis, and those words that every person for climate change or believes in climate change wants to hear these words. And essentially, he's saying a bunch of nothing. But anyway, next video. Oh, please, please, please like, share, subscribe, share these videos, comment on these videos. I don't know if I should really put it up on YouTube because I'll probably take the whole channel down. But I'm terribly shadow banned. But I'm shadow banned and I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. That's what's going on. And people need to hear this. I was right. I was right when I started this channel. If more people heard it, then maybe we'd be in a different place. A non-violent place, a peaceful place, a prosperous place. When our country when you lower the taxes and lower the regulations, then you fuel the economy. More people are working. The government always makes more taxes when they lower taxes. Anyway, on with the next show.